I just got a text from Peter Stevenson, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling Sailor, who wanted your mobile number so he could call you, make your phone go off during the show to say, I'm just one of her boyfriends that are calling.
Well.
Peter Stevenson, Pedro Foiling Sailor from Sydney, Australia, or wherever in Oz he is today. Hi, welcome to the show. Number 353, everybody. I'm your host, Tom Ehman. With me here in Studio B, of course, at the Beach Street Yacht Club in San Francisco's gorgeous Marina District. Another nice day. It's cool, but we're having a nice Thanksgiving weekend, Julia.
Yes.
My co-host and our supervising producer, the Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club, Julia Vedikin. Thank you all for joining us on what is for us a holiday weekend, a 4-day weekend here in the States. Just day 2 of it. Thursday, yesterday, of course, is our Thanksgiving holiday here, and it's really the biggest holiday, isn't it? It's a family holiday, and it's non-religious, so it's a big deal, right?
It is. It's my favorite holiday, which is how I remember it.
Now, did you get your computer going? Because you got a software update just before we went to air, and you were worried about whether it was going to work again.
It's going to be there in a minute.
You promise?
Okay. Well, I have it on my phone.
You got it on your phone? How about on your watch? You must have your watch on, too.
I do. But
it's Friday, the 27th of November, 2020, and we appreciate you all joining us. The big news today is the America's Cup World Series Auckland and Christmas Cup formats, which are just these two. It's one regatta, but they're calling them two, which take place in 3 weeks' time. Of course, in Auckland, it's the kickoff. Excuse me. I got a little coffee there. It's the kickoff of the racing in Auckland for AC36. So there has been none of the normal, well, by now normal preliminary racing. There was not the AC World Series ACWS Colliery, which was scheduled to be in Sardinia earlier this year, and then there was to be one in well, that's the Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli's home base, and then there was to be one, as you probably all know, in Portsmouth, England, which is the home base for Ben Ainsley's team, Ineos Team UK. And those both got called off because of the bloody coronavirus. And now this regatta is happening. We'll tell you all about it. The format, which is quite an involved format. There's a lot more racing than I was expecting. We'll tell you about that when we get into the show. Those of you who are celebrating it, whether here in the States or expats abroad, happy Thanksgiving as this 4-day weekend continues. Today, of course, is the big shopping festival. It's called Black Friday here in the U.S., and it's a madness normally. But, of course, Julie, you're not out shopping, or have you been online shopping?
Yeah, I haven't been out at all.
It's amazing how much of this, how this is just in the last, few years, needless to say, how much of this shopping has switched to online. I mean, why would you go out and fight the crowds? I guess it's social. I guess it's fun. Not for me, thank you. I'd rather go online. And then this is 4-day weekend is actually, it's not a holiday on Monday, but it's now called what? Cyber Monday, is that right?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it's called Cyber Monday, which is supposed to be an online something. And then tomorrow, Saturday, isn't it Small Business Saturday? They try to get people to go. I can't keep it.
I can't either.
It's Black Friday, which you wonder with if that's even politically correct to call it Black Friday anymore, but it is. Thanks to Britt's Ord, who was with us on Tuesday. That show's had a lot of views. And in YouTube numbers, it's, I think, our biggest. Clark Chapin's probably watching. He'll tell you whether or not that is our largest viewed show yet, since we have shifted from Facebook over to YouTube. By the way, I'm out of Facebook jail. It's starting to come good, as some of you will have noticed. Yeah, last night, Julie, about just before I turned in, I noticed that it was I was able to get on both my personal page and on the Sailing Illustrated account.
I didn't try this morning.
It's not 100%, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
And I'm now told by some of you who know more about this than even I, that it wasn't just because of that copyright strike when we did the co-stream of the World Sailing annual meeting.
Yeah.
But that because of all the COVID comments, and there may have been some people complaining about some of the other political commentary that we were making, left, right, and center. And with all the pressure on Facebook and on Twitter and on other, their staff, they're way understaffed. They say their staff is way under pressure. So I don't know what's going on, but I think it's a I'm sorry about the live play, the live replay. Live chat replay is still not working. I think we have to get to 1,000 subs, and then that'll start working. I am putting the chapter timestamps in now as soon as the show's over, as soon as possible after the show. So you can go back, and as with the Brit Ward show on Tuesday, you can go down in the comments below on our YouTube page and click on the timestamps. It'll take you right to that section in the show. And Julia, this is your time to say,
yes, this is a great opportunity to like, share, and subscribe so you get heads up.
Yeah, that subscribe helps us a lot. Please, if you haven't subscribed, if you're new here, or if you're a regular and just haven't taken the time, please go hit the subscribe button.
And it doesn't cost money.
Yeah, it's free, and of course, and hit the little bell, and you'll get a notification when we go live. And so on, the likes help, the thumbs ups help. Sharing it to your own page, whether it's a Facebook page or anything else, all helps too. Help support us via Patreon. We say at the beginning and tops and tails of each show, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. Give us a few bucks each month, or a lot of money each month if you're so inclined.
Yes.
Keeps my landlady happy.
You better believe it.
We appreciate it very much indeed. And welcome again to today's show. Let's stop there before we get into the Vendee Globe. And then we've got all this America's Cup news. Dogzilla is up in Seattle. That, of course, is Stingray, Daniel Gruen. Nice to have you back, Daniel. I know I've heard from a lot of you. When I got on my Facebook page, I lay in bed at dark 30 this morning looking through all the messages that I've had on that page. I couldn't access my personal page with 5,000 friends.
Uh-huh.
And there are a lot of you have commented. Most of you have figured out where we've gone. And some of you, Julie, I told you this last night. Some people are saying that they're binge watching the show now, that they've gone onto YouTube and they'll watch one show. And because YouTube is such a good at seeing what you're watching, then they keep feeding you more of the same.
Yeah.
So you're watching 2 or 3 shows. That's 6 or 7 hours a show. Well, if you can do it with Netflix, I guess you can do it with us, although I'm not sure we're as entertaining as most Netflix.
Well, except that it's probably the same as any Netflix stream. You're doing something else and listening to it.
Exactly. And we hope you're all doing something else too, instead of just listening to us gas bag here for the next couple hours. Morning, Tom and Julia from Brisbane. Warren Chaucer saying a lot of Aussies up and about, training to win. That's John Emmett. Greetings from sunny Villamora, where he's at the RSX European.
Oh, I'd like to be in Villamora.
Isn't Villamora nice?
Oh, yes.
It is indeed. John, we're jealous. And I saw your video finally back on YouTube, on Facebook rather. I saw the videos that they are posting from the RSX Europeans. Maybe we'll wrap some of that up on Tuesday. SF and Brisk, Fog. Who is Fog Machine?
I don't know.
Somebody here, he won't identify himself, but welcome, Mr. Fog. He's probably Carl the Fog.
Well, Carl the Fog is very famous resident.
How did the Fog in San Francisco get named Carl?
I think by Herb Cain.
Herb Cain?
Yeah.
Why Carl with a K?
Well, who knows?
Okay,
it sounded good.
Not by there's a radio station called K Fog here, KFOG.
Yeah.
But K, all the West Coast stations start with a K.
Right.
Ted Ryman's in from Cape Town. Ted, thanks for sending me a couple jokes, which I put in the show. The saltier, clever jokes are usually Ted's or Wayne Schreck's, or even Alfredo sent us one this morning.
Yes.
Mark Husted. Hello, Mark. Good to talk with you in the last few days. I'm pretty happy Ineos drew AM in the first official race of their AC36 campaign. Daniel Gruen is saying, lucky draw gods. Good evening from Dinamarca. Gordon Smith is saying, good evening, Denmark. Hi, Gordon. Britain was a very interesting guest. And you know, it's interesting because there's a lot of complaints not on our channel, but on other, I look at a lot of YouTube tech channels. And somebody famous like Marquez Brownlee will put up a review or a comments, and then you'll see all these copycats that trickle down and will copycat what he said. I'm seeing a lot of copycats trickling down already from what Britt said on Tuesday.
Good.
His observations. If you haven't seen that show, go back and look at it.
Oh, yes.
And again, what's happening, and it's good reason for going over to YouTube, it's not only is it obviously this big video platform owned by Google, but it's the second largest search engine in the world, second only to Google, which of course Alphabet, which is their parent company that owns them. And it's amazing. I had to, don't tell anybody, Julie, you won't tell anybody that I had to cook a couple things for
Oh, I promise not
Thanksgiving
to.
dinner Wednesday night and
And
yesterday.
I won't even tell anybody that was good because that would be terrible.
Well, you had some pie. I brought you some pie.
Oh, I did. No, you did a great job.
I cooked a pumpkin pie, not from scratch. But back to the main. Google is amazing. If you need to know anything about anything, you Google it, and there's probably a video, and you have to be a connoisseur. You have to figure out how to be a good consumer of those kinds of videos and know who are croutonic and who are pretty okay. But it's all working out to be on, I think, on YouTube. Slowly but surely, we're learning the platform, and we apologize again for some of the issues. But the Vendee Globe, there's no apologies there. It's an exciting race, and we're watching it as it's the nonstop, and I've changed this to the French. Julie, tell me if this is correct. En solitaire, meaning alone, right?
Yeah.
Alone, in solitaire, nonstop, unassisted. They can get assistance via radio, sat phone from their team bases back in presumably in
including
France.
Weather stuff.
Not weather stuff. No routing.
Yeah.
Only publicly available files. And correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. They're going to cross the Cape of Good Hope, then across the Southern Ocean, past Australia, past New Zealand, and then back on the map south of Cape Horn and back up to Europe. And it's 70 some odd days single-handed around the world. I think the record is 74 days. The news today is that Thomas Ruyant has had to cut one of his damaged foils. It was quite an operation to climb out on the foil and do the cutting, and he did. But he's back in race mode. He's in second place and closing in on the leader. And we'll have some information from him and from his team manager, Marcus Hutchinson, who's a longtime friend, America's Cup colleague, and so on. Thommessen consolidates his repairs, Alex Thommessen, and he's giving chase. He's quite a ways back, but he's catching up now as one of the speedier boats. And Charlie Dallin's lead is nonetheless some 300 nautical miles as he got into the big breeze down in the south and has stretched a little bit, but that is starting now, we think, to close. This is a look at Thomas Ruyant in linked out, who is chasing the leader, Charlie Dallin. And after cutting off part of his damaged portfolio, linked out solo skipper Thomas Ruyant is back in full race mode, chasing runaway Vendee Globe leader Charlie Dallin, who has escaped into the Roaring 40, surging eastwards towards the longitude of the Cape of Good Hope, now with a cushion of some 300 nautical miles. Here's some of the details. Ruyant cut 2 meters from the tip of his damaged foil in a perilous operation which was made easier by the unusually calm wind and sea conditions in the South Atlantic. His speeds will be compromised on starboard jibe, when the port side of the port foil is in the water, on starboard jibe, especially during the ensuing month in the Southern Oceans, but the skipper from the north of France is determined to do all he can to mitigate any loss of performance. Quote, Thomas is moving well now and wants to get as far south across the fleet before he jibes over, and it is good to see him back in the race at almost full potential. This is his first race, by the way.
Amazing.
In an old boat. In terms of numbers, it is difficult to estimate how much of his potential will be compromised. The designers and team are working on estimations to what the new polars would be. You know what a polar is? That's the projected. You have these. They're polar diagrams. They're circular diagrams that have. They're a graph.
Yeah.
That's showing at this angle with this wind speed, the boat should be going this fast.
Okay.
So it's a polar diagram in the mathematical sense of the expression, and all the teams have that. But when they break a foil, when something like this happens, they need to
math has to change.
But they have to modify the diagrams. So the teams are working on estimations to what the new polars would be, but the boat is compromised. We don't have the righting moment that we used to because there's obviously less foil arm. But whether that is 10% or 20%, we don't know yet. It might be 2 or 3 or 4 knots when the boat is being used at full potential. That's a quote from team manager Marcus Hutchinson.
They might discover it speeds it up, and then they'll be confounded.
No, I don't think they know that. But let's hope they're not going to get hurt too badly.
Yes.
Team manager Marcus Hutchinson suggested on the Vendee Globe Live program at lunchtime today, Friday, which we did have a look at, There is your race leader with a 300 or so nautical mile lead, Charlie Delon from France, up Pivia. And again, in an older boat and his first time. Here is, I'm going to go to the chart. You all wanted to see the chart, the tracking map, as they call it. And I'll refresh it to be sure it's right up to date, right as of this moment, which is today at, what is it?
2100.
2100 UTC. So that is UTC this time of year is +8 to Pacific Standard Time. So 21 minus 8 is 13. So it's right. They're just 8. That's just about now. That was 17 minutes ago. This is a new update. And you can see in the yellow boat, a Pivia down here with a, what's it say here to LinkedIn to Thomas Yacht. 300, he's extended slightly. He's got a 329 nautical mile gap, OSIS, as my dad used to say, between a Pivia and linked out. Mm-hmm. Yes, we can. Jean Lecom is back 380 nautical miles. And then back down through the fleet, we're going to show you some videos from on board. We're going to show you one from Samantha Davies, who's back 670 nautical miles. Is that what that is? 570 nautical miles. And somewhere here is Hugo Boss, who's in 12th place. He slipped. He was in 11th, so he's back in the battle of that group in the 600s.
640, yeah.
He's 640 back from the leader. And one little factoid I heard today, this was an interview that Mikkel Thommessen did with Knut Frostad, and I'm going to commend that to you. I'm not going to run it on the show because it's 38 minutes long. But Knut said that something like 1 million, close to 1 million people are like Wet Hog and others of you are playing the game. And it is apparently a big hit. And Knut Frostad said, think about the people that are playing the game, the online game, and, trying to race along with everybody else and take into account the weather conditions and when you jive and when you don't and so on. He said, do you think anywhere near that number of people watch the Olympic Games or maybe even the America's Cup? It's a very popular race, so I appreciate all of you who urged us to cover it and give it some coverage, which we will do. And here is a video from on board Charlie Delon. If I get the audio up, you can hear him. He's talking about how to take a shower aboard the leading boat. Julie, we can provide instant, you can translate this.
Yeah.
So that first bottle was seawater shampoo or seawater body wash, and then he has just a few, so he showers with seawater. Then he has just a few drops out of his water maker, freshwater maker, that he uses to in effect hose off with.
Yeah.
I watched this with closed captions in English.
Pour moi, sur un pilier sur ce Vendee Globe, et j'aurais dû le faire plus tôt parce que ça fait vraiment du bien. Allez, à plus tard.
So that's his video, and those of you who understand French will tell us in the comments if there was anything that was significant that I missed. But this is a shot, and as you probably most of you know, when you get down there to the Southern Ocean, here, I'm going to let you see the video but this is Samantha Davies saying that finally this afternoon I put the indicator on and officially turned left toward the Cape of Good Hope. This morning I was on the bow preparing a sail change and suddenly looked up just as a magnificent giant albatross, which you see when you get to that part of the world. Mm-hmm. It's an indication you've arrived. Mm-hmm. Soared across the bow from behind the forestay. That is the sign. I am in the South at last. Since then, I have had albatrosses accompanying me all day, checking my boat and checking us out. to see if we will be fun to follow. Finally, Orville and Wilbur, she's called her foils Orville and Wilbur.
Yeah.
She is a clever
Yes.
gal. Get to meet real albatrosses. The albatrosses have been a welcome distraction from my frustration to have, quote, cut the corner a little too close, which meant the wind has been lighter today, and I have had to play the waiting game in the zigzag around the high pressure with a few jibes. You'll recall, let's see if I can get her up on this tracker. She and a couple of the others we reported on Tuesday had turned left a little earlier than the rest of the group. And if I put the wind on here and zoom this a bit, and put it up here on, well, I can't put it up on camera 4. But you can see the boats that are up there still in the blue, which is where the lighter wind is, as opposed to those who stayed to the west and got west and south before turning the corner, before turning left, are in a lot more breeze and a lot more breeze astern. So that's what she was complaining about to herself, not to anybody in particular. There is Jean Lacombe, and he's listed in third, but he's in that blue, the most blue of everybody. He may actually, although he's closer to the Cape of Good Hope, he's in the light air, and these guys and gals that are down here in the green stuff are probably in better shape. Here's Hugo Boss. Here's Apivia with that 300 nautical mile lead. There's linked out. There's Thomas Ruyant. But you can see how important it is to have the breeze astern, be in the stronger breeze, and have plan your routing, your routing, plan your routing, Julia.
Yes, dear. Did the boats have wind information on board?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they can download files that are publicly available, grid files that then they plug into their navigation computers, and it plots out. It tells them, well, here's probably your best route, your best alternative.
Mm.
I'll go back to Samantha Davies' note that she sent this morning. Now I have found actually last night before she went to sleep. Well, yeah, last night before. Now I have found the wind. We have accelerated, and the sun is setting where it should do behind me. As finally we are trucking eastbound. Let's see if I can find her. She's back in the pack somewhere. But nonetheless, progressing, as is the entire fleet, behind the record of the last 4 years ago.
Yeah, they all are.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another video. I think you really enjoy this one with Sam.
You're into the south. You've seen your first albatross. How is it?
It's great to go in the right direction finally, and heading towards places we've heard. The first time is the albatrosses today, and they're just amazing pictures. And it's been ages since I've seen some albatrosses. It's been ages since I've been in the Southern Ocean, and it's just a symbol that's I guess it's a beautiful symbol, and it's something that these albatrosses they're gonna accompany. They're gonna come with us all the way around the world, and in this world, this area, there's not really much civilization, not really anything, and it's nice to have a bit of company. So it's great to see that the albatrosses are still there, and they're really keen to follow us like Jesus. And the wind's been building since yesterday afternoon. I cut the corner a little bit too much, which was a bit frustrating because I was with Louis, and now he's put ahead, but I'm still happy to be where I am, and the boat's set up well now to go fast downwind. We had lots of time over the last few days to prepare everything and to feel well set up and ready to deal with whatever we're going to get thrown at us over the next few weeks. It was great. It's been a great 24 hours of sailing now. Downwind, the kind of sailing that we're expecting. Downwind with a big Jenica up, the waves aren't very big, so there's not really much surfing, but it's great downwind fast sailing, and for the moment it's pretty nice because the sea stays flat and the sun's out, so it doesn't quite feel like we're in the Southern Ocean yet.
But in the meantime, Sam, it's a month in the Southern Ocean. What's the mindset at this stage? You just take each day as it comes.
Yeah, it's quite daunting to think that we're going to be here for so long, and I keep measuring it and to see if it's really true that's how long it is. And so yeah, for sure it's a bit difficult to imagine everything that's going to happen over the next month, and that we're really going to spend a month down here in the freezing cold, going really fast. But luckily I've got the memories of the last Vendee Globe that I did, and I just remember the time going pretty quickly. And I also remember dividing it up as well, and so I've got my little lines on my chart. They're kind of like the milestones that I'm going to make to get past the first one, Cape of Good Hope, obviously, well, the longitude of Cape of Good Hope, and then the Verne, and then the west coast of Australia, the east coast, and so I kind of divide it into small hops, and that makes it a little bit easier to imagine what's going to happen over the next few weeks.
That's the best way. Sam, you're doing a fantastic job. We had Tracy Edwards on the program yesterday, and she sends you her best regards and says she's so proud of you.
Oh, that was so nice of her. You know, she sent me a card, and well, with quite a few of the crew members from Royal and Sun Life. I've got it here. I'll show you. And it's really amazing because Tracy was my hero when I was growing up, and what she did was amazing, and probably what she did is kind of made me do what I do, and then finally I got to sail with her, and my first trip around the world was with Tracy as skipper, so that's just amazing to end up with your hero, your skipper, when you're 22 years old. And with Miranda on board, and Helena, who works with Care. And so Tracy made me this card. I'm trying to get it in the picture. So it's a picture of me on the bow of our catamaran all that time ago. And it says, so proud of you and thinking of you every day. And she wrote this really inspiring message inside. So it's great to have these experiences, and quite often when you do something like that with a crew, then that crew remains your friend forever.
Fantastic. I think we can safely say that you're Tracy's hero now.
Yeah, it's really funny reading her card, and it's funny how the roles reverse. It's quite weird.
Nice video, and like Alex Thompson, just
Yes.
Okay. That her audio was a little low, so I had that pushed up. It just what an attractive personality,
Absolutely.
a great human being, don't you think?
Yes, I love the way she's just so comfortable where she is.
Well, and you think about Tracy Edwards and that whole gang, Don Riley and the rest of them on Maiden when they did the first all women's team.
Right.
Really of note in the sport.
I just watched that movie again the other day.
You did?
Yeah.
And of course they did was that the Whitbread or the Volvo by then? I can't remember. Back on the chart here, I think she's pretty well positioned. That's Sam there in the red boat. If I zoom that I zoomed it out so you can see the cape up here. But if I zoom it in a bit, and you can see the jibing that's going on down here. This is Charlie Delon and Apivia, and he's in the jibing, presumably to do the repairs and they're going to have to do a lot of jibing. This is a downhill leg now across the Southern Ocean. And that's Louis Burton. She's pretty good shape. Samantha Day. Whoops, what did I do there? There, excuse me, there she is.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the gang up here, and there's some stragglers way back, obviously, but she's pretty well positioned, I would say.
Yep.
And maybe she'll make an impression on the top 3 or 4 here in the next few days as they go forward. Okay, here's another video that I thought you'd really enjoy. Have a look at this. This, of course, is Boris Herman.
Look here. I think that's going to be my friend for the next month. A gray world and a gray sky. Finally, I would say we are in the south. We are south of the high pressure. I have seen the first albatross yesterday, so that is the official entering in the Southern Ocean. Sea is still pretty flat, but it got colder, 15 degrees this morning. And yeah, it looks as it is expected. We have our position here. Here's Cape Town. Here's South America. And here's a low pressure with a front, and that's moving with us and overtaking us. And when the front goes over, then we jibe or something like that. Here's Tristan da Cunha, Go Island. So look these up on Google, interesting places. And yeah, why did I lose a couple of miles on Maitre Coq? I was right next with him when we were both going to the Janaker, from the Code Zero to the Janaker, and I felt something strange when I hooked the Janaker, so I wanted to make sure I can unhook, and I couldn't. After many times, many tries, I then went up the rig pretty hasty, because the light was just falling down. The night was just falling upon us. And it worked well. I could manage to unhook it, but it was quite an effort, so I'm a bit tired this morning. Happy it worked. Quite proud of it, because it's really not my favorite exercise. I'm scared of height, and there was not much wind, but you're still thrown around quite a bit. And then you need both hands to work, and so on and so on. And it was dark, and I didn't want to take my helmet off, so I didn't have a lamp. I didn't fix the headlamp on the helmet. I had a headlamp with me, but not on my head. Anyway, that worked all well, and I'm glad to be here. And let's see if we can at least keep the distance with the PRB and Maitre Coq. Cheers, have a good day. Bye-bye.
The German Boris Herman, who's standing 6th in his boat Sea Explorer, representing the yacht club de Monaco. It will keep, he's one of the handful. Samantha does both English and French. She's married to the French guy and obviously speaks French, as probably most, if not all these people do. Probably a good language to know if you're going to be an offshore sailor of repute anyway, in any of, because there's such a big part of the sport. And then we have another video from the Brit, Alex Thommessen, who's always cheerful, always optimistic, and he's back. As he said, the boss is back. Look at this.
Hi, everybody. Well, the repairs are over. Yeah. Now, that's a big milestone for me. It took an awful lot longer than I thought. It seems like an age ago, Saturday, when it happened, and I thought perhaps a couple of days' work, maybe. But it's dragged on for sure. But I finished just in the nick of time a few hours ago. Now the breeze is up. The boat's going fast. First time been doing over 20 knots since Saturday morning. So feels great. Still a bit tired, obviously. Got some catching up to do. Got a bit of a tip of a boat, but feels fantastic to be able to start focusing back on the race again and chasing the leaders. And into the Southern Ocean. That's going to happen pretty quickly. We'll get south of the high pressure on Friday and start getting into some good downwind conditions. And I can't wait. The boss is back.
The boss is back. Now, you see that thing on his arm? I guess it's just his video controller. Maybe it does other things too. Maybe it is a little touchpad that's hooked to his computer and does more than his videos. But at the start and finish of these videos, and maybe it's got navigation stuff. I don't know. I want to. Inquiring minds want to know.
Yes.
Julia, what that is, don't we? And of course, Alex Thompson aboard Hugo Boss. That wraps up our little Vendee update for today, Friday, the 27th. And again, I commend to you their Vendee Globe TV YouTube page, as they're posting videos night and day off the boats. The blue ones here are off the boats, and the red ones are their updates, both in English and in French, coming from their studio in the Sable d'Olonne in France. And they've got a couple of commentators, English language, French language, and so on. And they're just doing a fabulous job. I mean, this is, as a lot of you said, it's arguably the biggest yacht race in the world in terms of eyeballs, in terms of a lot of things. 33 entrants.
That's incredible.
6 of whom are women. So it's great for the sport, eh?
Yes, absolutely.
Julia, should we stop there and look at comments? Vendee Globe TV, I commend it to you. And welcome to this show, number 353. Julia.
Oh, well, let's see.
Britt was a very interesting guest. I see from Gordon Smith. Yes, he was. Jody is saying, good day from the middle of Lake Macquarie. Great morning for a paddleboard. The wife cut you adrift. Smith is asking, the wife cut you adrift in the middle of the lake. James Bland, fresh from my workout in Austin, Texas. Friday is often credited to Philadelphia's policeman who used it to describe the pandemonium ahead of the annual Army-Navy American college football game on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, Black Friday. Well, okay, I think that could be. What else, Julia?
Cyber Monday was supposedly to for electronic shopping.
Yeah, but it was I think maybe originally, but it's really they're talking about online shopping. Cyber shopping was invented in 2005 by the National Retail Federation. David James. Hello, David. He's found us too. He used to watch regularly on Facebook. He's across the bay, one of the smartest people we know. Everybody on here is smart.
I know.
We ought to just probably turn on this tube. I ought to do a Zoom for every show and just let them run the show and tell everybody what's going on because they're so knowledgeable. Our Fozy.
No question about it.
Finally worked out how to watch live. Yeah, Pedro Foiling Sailor. Fog Machine, who still won't ID himself, says, Carl may be my cousin.
I know. Isn't that lovely?
I talked to Blake Middleton today.
Oh, good.
Blake, I gave him a call because we're going to report on the news, the sad news about the death this morning of a famously good sailor here in the States and an Olympian who was, a lot of us were close to, Kevin Burnham. Blake was close to him, and I knew Blake would be sad. And I saw it started because I was able, Julie, to, I didn't miss posting on Facebook, but I miss all the interaction.
Yes.
And the posts, not that I post that, well, I did post, but I missed the posts from everyone else.
Yeah, me too.
And it's your own kind of personal, private news feed, not necessarily people telling us about. But that's how I learned about Kevin Burnham's passing this morning. So I called Blake, and we had a bit of
that's good.
a tear.
I meant to call him yesterday.
I told him that you were, and I told him how fond you, despite me telling you what a crouton he is, and he's not, of course. No. But I said that you got a soft spot in your heart for Blake Middleton up in Scout Country, up in the Minnesota Lakes at Wyzetta Yacht Club. I personally don't think Britt would care what people say. Our sport within itself is full of gas bagging. True. Mm-hmm. Yeah, training. Unless I'm going to save the comments about Kevin Burnham till we get to the end. We've also had an untimely death of an OK dinghy sailor in Australia. We're going to report on that too at the end of the show. Alex Thompson, back to the Vendee. Alex Thompson took the time to finish the repair before hitting the Southern Ocean. Apparently, he's done 2 repairs. I mean, he's done he had some light patch, so he's taken that opportunity as, I guess, training to win. That's Emmett. John Emmett is saying, yeah, I think he took that opportunity to do some more repair. Steve Atkins, welcome back. How's the long COVID? See, one of our first friends to contract the croutonic corona. Been out of the loop, but does anyone know the actual issue that Alex repaired? Yeah, it was a stove-in bow, I believe, on the starboard side, but it's somewhere in the bow, and he had a problem Britt Ward actually knew. Go back and watch what Britt reported about it if you want, Steve, on the Tuesday show, because Britt, and there's a big beam up there apparently that gives strength to the bow section, and of course the bows take constant pounding, really.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what a story this will be if he can recapture the lead? Exactly.
And he could.
He could, for sure. I mean, he's plenty quick. Gordon Smith, Andrew Pindar. Hi, Andrew. Do you ever buy Berry Brothers port? Any recommendations for Tawny to lay down for 10 to 20 years? Now we've become a port consultancy.
Yes.
As opposed to starboard consultancy.
and yeah.
Yeah, here's a better explanation. Fog Machine. Steve, Alex had the main longitudinal structure member in the bow section fracture clean through in several places. Was going for the front fell off award. And it was amazing when I ran the video, was it on Tuesday's show or last Friday's show, of the repair that he took and his explanation. And if you go back to that Vendee list of, to their Vendee Globe TV YouTube page, you can find several videos off his boat where he explained. And they've got, they take extra material. He consults his engineers and designers back at
it's amazing.
And it really was an amazing description. And it's, he said, well, I think you just saw in his video, he said, my boat looks a bit like a tip. You know what a tip is? It's a, I guess, Commonwealth expression. I know it from our Aussie and Kiwi friends.
Yeah.
A tip is like a trash heap.
Oh, okay.
A tip.
Yeah, a tip.
And he said, I need some cleaning up here. Doesn't salt water give skin problems if you wash in it? I guess, Gordon, but I think, again, he explained he had salt water body wash shampoo, right, one and the same, and then he has fresh water off his water maker that he
just
uses
rinses
a few drops of that, he said, and then he's got a chamois towel to rinse off in. Is that what you gathered from that?
Yep.
Who else is on here? So many people, so many comments. I'm sorry about the replay comments still not live, but I keep researching it. I keep talking to YouTube. And I just think we have to get to enough subs because they have so many of these low sub shows, and they've only got so much video power.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of storage and a lot of Yes, AIS works in the open ocean. Sure does. Great video update for Sam. I love seeing. Yep, Blake. I totally agree. I'm tipping most of the foilers will go into displacement mode to protect their boats in the Southern Ocean. Get to the Horn in good shape, then the race is on to the finish up the Atlantic. That's good, probably good.
Yes.
Yes, and Mark Husted, mate, foiling boats aren't designed for that water speed, yes, from the breeze downwind, but slamming and pounding will break the foils or the bows of the foiling fleet. Boris, Chris Exley saying, Boris is another amazing person and great ambassador for the sport. Couldn't agree more, Chris, and we keep... And if there's others that you want us to play so that we can all share and comment on, let me know.
Yep.
Claire, what's her name? Claire Cremont? She seems to be popular. And by the way, if you go look at these videos, one of the guys, obviously, who was an early race favorite, who had to turn around and go back to port, to the starting port, and get fixed, he's now, he's still... way behind. He's 3,000 plus miles behind. That's Jeremy Bayou on Charal. But when he posts a video, even though he's back at the tail end of the pack, I mean, there's one guy that had to turn around, Nicholas Troussel, who broke his rig and had to turn around and quit the race. But, don't count out Jeremy. He probably won't get to the front of the fleet and win, but he's going to do it nonetheless. But his videos get thousands of views every time. There's tremendous interest in what he's doing.
Fog Machine said Alex worked with programmers at Nokia for the software on the wrist gadget. It appears that it can perform many miracles other than video switching.
Interesting.
And Chris Exley goes on to say the device is an alphabet.
No, it's a phablet.
A phablet.
A phablet with a phone tablet.
With full capabilities to operate any system on the boat. He selects cameras with it to give different views of his activities. Very effective media.
It is indeed. James Bland on coming to college football. Army-Navy game has been moved to the second week in December for TV ratings. Is it TV ratings or is it because of the bloody COVID?
I know. Today is a big game, too.
Julia, I should turn the TV on so we can.
At 1:30.
Well,
Oh.
it's now 1:45.
Oh, yeah.
Here, and Julia's beloved Stanford Cardinal are playing their Cross Bay rival, UC Berkeley, Cal Berkeley, in the big game. And it's this week. Normally it's usually the week earlier. But when Cal and Stanford play, then there is all the other teams in the other sports usually play each other, including sailing. St. Francis Yacht Club has been hosting for how long? 25 years?
Well, yeah, the big sail.
How long has that been going on?
Maybe about 20. I don't really
20
know.
some odd years.
Yeah.
And their sailing team against the two sailing teams race off, and St. Francis hosts it on the Tuesday of the week of the big college football game.
But it's the varsity, the junior alums, and the senior alums are 3 different races.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, 4.
And the women too. I guess there was
the women's division last year.
Yeah.
Anyway, we normally go over there and watch that and enjoy that too. So it's a good tradition. Clark Chapin was going to try to do something between Michigan and Michigan State. You don't have college sailing quite. You do a little bit in the UK and 1 or 2 other countries, but not quite to the level we do in this country, which is why our Olympic program probably is so crotonic.
Yeah.
But it's a good tradition, good fun. Gordon Smith, I haven't heard, but we'll poke around. Amazing how tech has invaded so many traditionally man versus nature activities. I'm not going to go into those. There's some back and forth between Fog Machine and Gordon Smith. Will Harris is doing updates in depth on Boris's boat. It's worth following. Thank you, Mark. And TV ratings moved for about 15 to 20 years. Go Card, go Julia. Clarice Kremer is another. That's what I was thinking is another impressive competitor. Would love to see more coverage. Same for Isabel Yashke. They seem very comfortable in their situation and tenaciously focused on finishing. Gordon says yes, he's talking about rowing, but Oxford versus Cambridge race, the oldest sports competition in the world, has been moved from the Thames this year, moved to the river, is it Nina?
And
Near Peterborough.
Yeah. In Hawaiian, it's Nene.
Nene, which means what?
It's a bird.
Oh, it is. Okay. Shall we carry on?
Yes.
This day in history. It's a brief one. And it took place not too long ago, 2007. Here's your first clue. Do you know what that is? Yes, it's a courthouse. That is 60 Center Street.
Yeah.
Which is the New York County, New York Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court back in the day in the 16 or 1700s, before the country was even, these Supreme Courts were supreme. It was the only court, or it was the top court. It was the only court. And then there became when states got established, states had appellate courts, and then after that, you could even go to the U.S. Supreme Court. But this is called the Supreme Court, it's really the trial courts. That these days it's a trial court, a lower court. Here in California, they call it a superior court, and it is where, if you watch Law and Order, and they're always in the court here. Well, this is where the America's Cup action takes place, because the deed of gift was under New York law, and it has been adjudicated when it has been adjudicated in this court, as it was in 2007 on this date. The court issued a decision relative to, here's your second clue, CNEV. Now, what does CNEV stand for?
Oh, gosh.
Daniel Grun, bingo, he's got it. Alinghi versus Oracle litigation, Justice Khan, and it wasn't spelled that way, I don't think, but that's close, rules that CNEV is invalid and that the challenger, for the next cup, which would be 2010, AC 33, would be this, of course, is the Golden Gate Yacht Club. And on this date in 2007, the court replaces CNEV, which was that fictitious yacht club, with a real yacht club, Golden Gate Yacht Club. Well done, Daniel Grun. Chris actually congratulating him as well. I tell you also this week, coincidentally, it was on Wednesday of this week in 1987. My wife, Leslie, and I were flying back from San Diego. I was running the Cup then and said I had been hired to run it. And we were flying back to Michigan to our families for Thanksgiving, have a nice 4-day holiday.
Yes.
We got to Kansas City, and I got the call, or I called, you didn't have cell phones. I called the office to see what was shaking, and they said, the courts handed down the decision. And the decision was that San Diego Yacht Club had to meet the challenge that Michael Fay and the Mercury Bay Boating Club of New Zealand, that challenge was legal, and we had to meet it. So I literally hopped, in those days it wasn't quite as much security as there's in the airports post 9/11.
Right.
And I said, okay, Leslie, see you later. And she ran to her gate and flew down to Michigan. I hopped over a gate, got onto a flight. Literally, I said, hey, I didn't go to the ticket. I just got, and they let me on the plane. I went back to San Diego and met with the then Commodore Fred Fry and Malin Burnham and said, okay, what do we do now? Well, we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving. And frankly, we had a few bottles and we had a turkey dinner the next day. And then we went to work.
Oh, yes.
On how to defend what became the 1988 America's Cup. Also this week in history, I did include that.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments before we move forward?
At
least Mercury Bay had a car. David James is saying that was more than CNEV. And CNEV was fictitious. They had a regatta. It wasn't even a regatta. Because they had to show that they'd had an annual regatta on an arm of the sea. Had.
Yeah.
It came down to what was the definition of the word had. And Hamish Ross, my dear friend, and who contributes some of this and contributed this one, in fact, on this date in history, reminded me that it was this week, this day. And he argued, Hamish was working for Alinghi, that the word had meant that they could do it prospectively or retrospectively. They did not have to have already had a regatta on an arm of the sea. And we all said, well, excuse me, it's quite clear that they're trying to qualify clubs and be sure that they have regattas on open water and they have big boats and so on. You've got the word had meant have had.
Mm-hmm.
And indeed, the court said that's, pretty obvious that that's what that deed of gift meant.
Yeah.
The only thing CNEV had, and they rushed around to do it, was a clinic for optimists up in the north of Spain someplace.
Yeah.
And they tried to call that their annual regatta on an arm of the sea. It was an opti clinic. Excuse me. Yeah. So the court made the correct decision on this day in history. Let's move right into the America's Cup date, the AC36 Cup date, and open with this video celebrating what is about to start in 3 weeks' time. Why didn't my video start, Julia?
Didn't push the button. There you go.
It goes.
This summer we'll all bear witness to the fastest, most intense sailing the world's ever seen, right here on Auckland, Waitemata Harbour. There's 3 international teams, all going to fight it out for the Prada Cup to then challenge Emirates to New Zealand for the America's Cup in March.
Right, let's go. Let's take a little ticky tour out to all the various courses and we'll give everybody some advice and some tips on the way.
Martin said the racing can be on any one of 5 courses out here. There's course A is out of Takapuna area, course B is in the Rangitoto Channel, course C is right in front of North Head here, probably the most spectacular. Course D is in between Browns Island and Rangitoto, and course E is in what we call the back paddock inside of Waiheke.
Each day a different race course may be used. You're going to have to plan carefully to make sure you get out there with enough time, as there are speed restrictions over the entire event area.
We want to all be safe out here on the water, so let's try avoid writing our names in the water behind us with our wake. Port to port, power gives way to sail, wave to each other, let's enjoy it.
So when you get out here on the course, you're going to see these boys here behind me. At the very end of this row, there's a yacht with a big tube on it. That tells you where the corner of the course is. And each of these boys has a number on. So on one side of the course, they're all even. On the other, they're all odd numbers. That way you can tell your mates where you are. And if you need us for anything, you can tell us where you are.
While this shot looks pretty sweet, the racing area is actually a no-fly zone, so while it's tempting to bring a drone that's not allowed, let's leave that up to the experts and the broadcast team. Hey, we're off the bays now, Takapuna, Milford, out to Terry. This is course area A here.
Some courses might be good for you to anchor around, and they may not. The best way to know is to make sure you leave your details with us so that we can send you that information.
Yeah, as Martin said, some areas are in no anchor zone. Course area A is. You may not be aware, but New Zealand's internet cables run below the water here, up Takapuna Beach. Yeah, nah, mate. This is course area B between Takapuna and the legendary fishing spot, Rangitoto Lighthouse. Great challenging race course, a lot of the teams have been practicing out here. With big international yachting events coming to town, we as Kiwis do like to get out and be part of the action. I wouldn't recommend doing what I did back in 1980, as you can see. This is going to be busy out here with the America's Cup presented by Prada, and we recommend now to do it in a sensible size craft. Here we are in the middle of course area C. We've got a bit of a boil up going on around us. In summer there can literally be thousands of birds out here, and one thing we would like to make you all aware of is when they do take off, if they're sitting in the water, they tend to take off upwind. So if you are going past a big school of birds, just pass to leeward of them, then you're not going to run the risk of taking any of them out. Here we are on course area D. This is a nice confined race course, ideal for an easterly or a westerly. If you don't quite have the sea legs, you can go ashore, Browns Island, walk up the track, picnic rug. You're looking straight down on course area D. Absolute glamour. This is what we call the gateway to the back paddock. Course area E.
Those are good graphics.
If you're out on the water, there's a responsibility for the skipper to stay sober and make sure you can get home safely.
Yeah, it goes without saying, but being a tidy Kiwi is picking up your rubbish. We pride ourselves in this pristine country we live in the coastline and waterways. Let's keep it this way. Anything goes in the water, make the effort in picking it up and bring everything back to shore with you.
With so much going on the water this summer with the America's Cup, we strongly urge you to leave your details on our website so you don't miss out on any of the action.
Whether you're on land or on sea, this America's Cup is for everyone. Thanks for joining us out there today.
Yeah, I agree, Julie. I think the graphics were. I think it was a terrific video. Mark Husted said great, informative video, and I really think it was. Bravo Zulu to them.
Yes.
And it's starting to feel like the Cup.
Yes.
Finally. After it hasn't been that long, but just the on again, off again with the America's Cup World Series regattas that we talked about at the top of the show. Daniel Gruen said, and Dean Barker has. Daniel Gruen said, Ray Davies made some hilariously bad tactical mistakes during AC-34. Yeah, he made a couple. None of us is perfect. Hopefully he isn't the tactician. He's a coach this time. He's not on board the boat as far as I'm aware. Ray Davies, is a coach. Ray Davies is also a hell of a good bass player. And I, full disclosure, have played, we did it at a prize giving for the TP52 Worlds, or I think. Some big TP52 regatta in Europe, in Portugal or someplace, and there's been a sailors band of which Ray has featured centrally in that band for some years, that in different events, America's Cup and TP52 and maybe Whitbread or the Ocean Race. And I got commandeered to play the guitar, and Tony Ray, Kiwi T Ray, who's a lead singer. And then who's our Spanish friend who was a drummer? I mean, this was all sailors, all good guys.
That's fun.
And Ray Davies, very casually, he says, he's like me. What do you want to play? Oh, play that. Okay, here we go. What key are we playing? Here we go.
Isn't that great?
No rehearsal. No. Yeah. He's a hell of a good guitar player, a good bass player, rock and roll bass player. It's a good fun, and full marks to him. That was a nice video. Okay, so here's the plot. Here is the graphic, the key graphic that came out for the ACWS Auckland. Now, there are two regattas. The one on the white and the left is the so-called AC World Series, Auckland. And then the Christmas Cup formats. Christmas Cup on the right, which is just really the semifinals and finals with a repechage or with a consolation bracket. So I'm going to come over here now to my beloved camera 4. And on the 17th of December, so, that's less than 3 weeks from now, They're going to race 4 races. Each team is going to sail twice, and it's a round robin. These 3 days, it's a round robin. So ETNZ against LRPP, Magic against Ineos, and then Ineos against LRPP, Magic against ETNZ. And then the next day, it's the finishing off the round robin here, Luna Rossa against Magic, ETNZ against Ineos. Then they swap and they go backwards. Whatever they started here, they go right back. So they start against a team and end with a team, and whoever they ended with, they start this time with, and they end with the team they started with the time before, which is just a minor detail. I don't think you can see that as well.
Oh, that's better.
As you can see in the slide rather than the TV.
Yeah.
So I'll come back. So that is the round robin phase in the white on the 17th, 18th, and 19th of December. And then, let's see if I can get this TV thing working a little clearer. Fuck us, the camera. That's not good. That's overexposed. Well, that's not great. I'll come back to the slide in a sec, but just so I can use this. Then you've got on the 20th, and this is all one day, happening one day, you've got coming out of the rounds robin, Team A, which is the top finishing team, will race Team D, and I guess they get to select which team they race. I'm not sure. The first place team normally gets to choose which of the other 3 they would race in their semifinal. And then you see in race 2 is Team C against Team B, the other 2 teams, the winners of which advance, as we Americans would say, advance to the semifinals, the winner of which then is the winner of the event. Down on the bottom, you can see race 3 is the semifinal loser from race 1, and then the other semifinal loser from race 2. They have a losers bracket, and then the 2 losers, well, they just have one race. They race off to see who will be ranked third. And who will be ranked 4th. I hope that's not clear as mud. That's pretty simple, straightforward. So you got a double round robin in the first bit.
Yeah.
And then that ranks the teams, and they go forward to the knockout phase. In fact, they even call it knockout. And it's the losers go into that.
And do we know about TV coverage of it?
Coming to that.
Uh-huh.
You'd think poorly of me if
I would.
if I didn't have the TV coverage covered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the bracket. Here's the release. I'm going to read the good bit of the release, not every word. But Prada America's Cup World Series and Christmas Cup race format announced in less than 3 weeks. The 4 international teams, yada yada. It's the 17th through the 20th. You know the teams that will be racing for the event and for the cup. The racing format for the 4 days is now been finalized. We've just explained it. There'll be 4 races per day in the round robin phase, 17, 18, 19. And all 4 teams will race each other twice. And the 4th day, the 20th, is the Christmas race, which will kick off and be comprised of 2 knockout stages, as we just described. Okay. The first race will start. This is a little departure from what apparently will happen in January, February, and March, because we understand that the races will start at 4 o'clock, 1600 local time. But for this, because the number of races they're running, first race will start a few minutes after 3 p.m. on December 17th, and we'll see ETNZ race LRPP. The second pairing, as you know, is American Magic and Ineos. With each of the teams interpreting the AC-75 design rule differently, there are marked differences between all 4 boats launched so far, and therefore great anticipation to see them race for the first time. No
Absolutely.
doubt. Race will be held on a windward-leeward race course with an upwind start and last around 25 to 30 minutes. Now, Ian Murray, who's the regatta director, will decide how many laps, and presumably it'll be 2 laps, up, down, to take, and then he can also vary the length of the legs, but I think it'll at least be 2 laps. I don't think it'll be 3. And then he will vary the length of the legs according to the wind strength and the speed of the boats. And Ian he's a past master.
Yeah,
he's really good at figuring all that out.
Yeah.
As you remember from here when he was regatta director,
yes.
and also in Bermuda. So long story short, racing is scheduled for the second paragraph, 15 to 1800 each day. Weather permitting, the race course will be communicated on racing days by race manager, depending on wind direction, intensity, and tides. Between those courses, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo, the two courses out.
The permitted.
And the permitted wind range is a little narrower than for the Product Cup or for the America's Cup. The permitted wind range is 6.5 at the lower end and 21 knots at the upper end. For the Product Cup, which is the Challenger Selection Series, it's 6.5 and 22 knots. And then for the match, it's 6.5 at the lower end and 23 knots is the upper limit in the wind range. Okay, what else here? There's more. The America's Cup Race Village is free. We'll show you a map of that in a sec. To enter, and a great place to enjoy the action from or to soak up the atmosphere. Depending upon the course of the day, there are many vantage points in and around Auckland from which the racing can be enjoyed while on land. And if somehow you missed it, that whole kerfuffle that they had over losing courses Bravo and Charlie, which are in the Rangitoto Channel, that after... it had to look like the home team had a wink-wink deal with the harbor master and saying, well, don't let them use it during the Challenger Series. We'll use it in the match. Well, that went away as soon as the challengers challenged that in front of the ARB panel. But that all 5 courses, Alpha through Echo, will be used. For the Challenger, for the Challenger teams, the results from the World Series Regatta Auckland and the Christmas race will determine the pairings for the Product Cup Challenger Selection Series to be held January, February, that will decide which of them will take on ETNZ in the 36th America's Cup match, which, of course, starts on the 6th, Saturday the 6th of March. So that's a bit of a new bit. Now, how to watch on the water, as we've just been discussing, the racing area covers a wide swath. They need a proofreader for their press releases. There were a couple of mistakes. Julie, you need to help them.
Right.
Wide swath of the Hauraki Gulf with the 5 race courses being identified depending upon the weather conditions, yada, yada. I'm not going into all that. To know more about how to watch, click here and sign up to you can go onto their website, go on americascup.com, and there's additional information, including this graphic, which I plucked off this morning and then fixed the graphic because you couldn't see it. And this shows the local times for the telecast when they're racing at 3 to 5 in Auckland, or 4 to 6 in this case. This is actually, the timing will be a little different. This is not for this upcoming regatta. This is for the Cup, which starts in Auckland. As you see there on that, they're talking about 4 to 6 p.m., which is the times we know they're going to use in Auckland for the Product Cup and for the America's Cup. But they're going to start an hour earlier, 3 o'clock. So you have to take this with a grain of salt. Here in the States, that's going to be 6 to 9 p.m. the night before. So the 17th, it's the evening of the 16th here, will be the racing. And 3 hours later on the East Coast, down for those of you in South America, you know your timings, and so on and so forth. So that chart, again, is for the Product Cup and for the match, as we call the finals, the America's Cup match, not for the racing that's taking place in 2.5, 3 weeks' time. Now, what channel is it going to be on? Well, I still don't know for sure because this is weasel worded. Territorial coverage with just under 3 months still to go before the start of the Product Cup. Well, this is less than that now. Further broadcaster deals are in the pipeline, and a second wave of partnerships will be announced before racing starts this December. Okay, that's just now happening. Complementing broadcaster partnerships, the AC will also make extensive live coverage, not full live coverage, extensive live coverage, race highlights, and clips available online for free via americascup.com and its digital channels, which means YouTube and Facebook, ensuring that the sailing fans in over 225 countries will have opportunities to enjoy the live racing from Auckland. This is ever more important in light of the travel-restricted world. Okay, fair enough. But what it doesn't say is that it's going to be live from soup to nuts, from wire to wire on YouTube. Doesn't say that. I hope it will, but I'm afraid it won't be. For this America's Cup, we have, this is a Dalton quote, we have started from scratch with the entire race management TV broadcast system. No one has covered these amazing AC-75s before. This will be the first time it has been done, and it has been our intention to build the broadcast around the spectacle of the two AC-75s match racing in one of the most iconic, Julia, they're stealing our language.
Yes.
Iconic sailing locations in the world, said Dalton. The work undertaken by everybody involved in the TV production development over the past couple of years has been remarkable. All the broadcast equipment and teams, the broadcast team, are now arriving in Auckland and from all around the world, and we are really looking forward to seeing the AC-75 regattas televised with many innovations planned for this edition, concluded Patrizio Bertelli, or whoever wrote that quote for him. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. So what I take from this is that, as I've told you in the past few weeks, I'm afraid that they're going to get to the U.S. NBC is going to say, okay, we're going to run this on, tell me what, NBC SN, Sports Network, or on one of their digital platforms, not on a cable channel. And they're going to geo-block, which you can do. You can geo-block the YouTube signal from being able to be received here, or the Facebook stream. And, for example, now it could happen in other countries, too. I know that that's happened in reverse. They blocked it in New Zealand last time when it was in Bermuda.
But you could watch it later.
Well, you can, yeah. You watch it whenever NBC says, okay, it's on now. They might try to hold it for the next day for a primetime spot or for middle of the day on Saturday to compete against some other. Or they may not want to run it at a time when there's another major event, sporting event or otherwise, on TV, so they save it for a. So I don't know how that's going to play. If you are geo-blocked wherever in the world, the solution is simple. Get yourself a VPN, a virtual private network. You can get online for, I don't know, $20. You can get a VPN for a year. And that you then connect to their server someplace else in the world. And it will not then show your USA or your home country's IP address to the servers wherever this thing's being streamed from. And it'll presumably let you then watch it. So that's how you get around, and that's how in countries where they block stuff, and in communist China and so on, so not to pick on them. So that's what's going on with this TV production. Now with the Village, there's the Village, and if you can see the fine print, I'll go back to the screen, because you can see, I think, the red numbers, but maybe not the fine print. 1 is the official store, 2 is the AC-75 simulator, 3 is Te Pau, P-O-U, I'm not sure what that means, but somebody down in Auckland will know. It's obviously Maori related or local related. This is the MUM 4 is the MUM Yacht Club. This is Te Wero Island, by the way, across, which is that bridge and walkway across the viaduct. This is where the team bases were in the here and down here in the 2000-2003 Cup. This is where the base club was, and this is Halsey Wharf now. 5, did I mention? That's the main stage and screen. You walk across that, and this is a drawbridge as well. 6, the 3D photo wall. 7, the Spark 5G race zone. 8, the Coca-Cola drink shop. 9, the Maxi screen. 6 is also a 3D photo wall. And then ETNZ has this big base, which was the multi-purpose center, whatever that building was called, and to cut costs. And otherwise, that was going to be the media center, and they've turned that over to ETNZ. That's, again, a bit overexposed here. I don't know if I can fix that or not. That's ETNZ's base here. And then out on the Halsey Wharf, 11 is the Prada Media Center out here on Halsey Wharf, right next door to the Prada Hospitality. And then across over here at the end of the Hobson Wharf is the LRPP base. And this is the exit from the viaduct out. If those of you who were down there in 07, or sorry, in 2000, 2003. Over here, sorry, Julie, go ahead.
No, is the Prada media base going to be also the Cup media base?
Yeah, it's the media center for the entire exercise. That is out here on the wharf. Then over here, of course, 10, which was going to be other team bases, is now called the staff area. And then you got Ineos's base here and American Magic's base there. So there's the better view of the graphic. And that's how things are set up. And Richard Gladwell has been keeping us posted on this, and his predictions have been pretty much spot on. So in a nutshell, the access to the America's Cup Race Village is completely free throughout all AC events, they say in the press release today. The village has a limited visitor capacity and will open on the 15th of December and operate from 9 a.m. till 11 p. on racing days and from 10 until 10 on non-racing days. Situated at the start of the Hobson's Wharf, it will continue on through the Eastern Viaduct and the Western Viaduct up to the Jellicoe Car Park. Okay. So I that's as much as I know about the village and about the TV coverage and everything that's going on. They say that there will be live coverage during this racing, the 17th to the 20th, because if for no other reason, they have to have a test for the TV and the graphics and the whole system. And this is not the Larry Ellison, what was the name of those graphics? But the Larry Ellison owned graphics that were developed by Stan Honey. This is ARL. Animation Research Limited down in Dunedin that's been doing graphics on and off for the Cup and other sporting events. So they have to test it. They have to give it a run. So I'm sure they will during these events.
Yeah.
And it's not just the engineers and the switchers and everybody and the commentators and so on. It's being sure that all the connections, the microwave connections, it's like this thing. The show is easy to do. Putting the PowerPoint takes, with all the slides and the videos and so on, takes a lot of time. But it's the connections, and every now and then we have a problem here for our simple little silly yacht racing show here.
Yes.
Okay.
This is very important yacht
very
racing
important,
show.
But silly yacht racing. Here's a nice video, and then we'll get to your comments. Maybe we should stop there before I run the video because I see there's a lot of comments, Julia. How's your team doing, by the way? How's Stanford doing against Cal?
I haven't heard any
David
update.
James was updating you, wasn't he?
Well, I just had that one update. So.
And you were behind.
Yes.
7-0. And yes, Kenny Reed is doing commentary for the world feed. You may remember, some of you will remember some of the other names. And then there is a local a Kiwi rugby guy, along with
not Peter McNamee.
No, but with Peter Lester, who are doing the television feed for the local audience, meaning the national audience in New Zealand, I should say. Mm-hmm. And of course, countries. I don't know if the Brits are going to use the Kiwi feed or the Ken Reed feed, but they sometimes send their own commentators, sometimes not. Sometimes other commentators, their national commentators in a studio, back watching the feed and then commenting there. We'll see how they work that all out. It's a cost benefit thing.
Gordon Smith.
Yep.
Still trying to find out about live broadcasting in Denmark and the Nordics. And also in Daniel Groom in Germany.
Let me go back to that chart and see if this chart. It says 4 to 6 a.m. on TV 12 Seymour in Sweden. You see up there in the upper left corner? Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you have that in Denmark and Norway, guys and gals, but Canal Plus in Switzerland, RAI Sky in Italia, Canal Plus in France, to be confirmed in China, SBS in Korea, to be confirmed South America, Fox Sport Australia, TVNZ of course in New Zealand, Pacific TV in Oceania, Super Sport in South Africa. I wonder if Ted Ryman watches Super Sport, Canal Plus and Super Sport through the rest of Africa, and so on. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that helps, if Seymour helps up TV 12 Seymour up in Sweden, if that helps all of you otherwise. What else, Julia? I don't need that audio.
Grim-
Oh, yeah, there's my video.
Daniel Grimm said broadcasts in Germany, at least at the moment, very bad indeed.
Yeah, it's not a good situation when you. But remember, if it might almost be better, and I'm going to play this Britannia video here in a sec, but it might almost be better not to have a domestic broadcaster, what they call a unilateral, in your country, in your footprint, because you can for sure watch it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
They won't block it. They won't geo-block it in your. I wonder who Fog Machine, if they knew Tom played banjo, his visa would have been done. We just use the banjo for local stuff. It sounds like Dick Henderson, Julia, but maybe not.
I don't think so.
You don't?
He been posting other stuff today.
You mean stuff that sounds smart and erudite doesn't sound like Dick Henderson? Is that what you're saying?
No.
I hope it's not Dick now. What else? Anybody? And then we'll move on here. Was wondering why
Liveline was Honey's system.
Yeah, was the system that Larry owns and owns the IP for that, the intellectual property.
Stanford has given Cal a 3-7 lead.
Yeah, then 3-7, 7-3. So Cal's up by 7-3.
Yeah,
that's just for you, Julia.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dogzilla. Thank you. And what else? VPN is just piggybacking. It's crazy because we can do it as example. Sky UK has, it's sad because, there's ways around it. But of course, the common, you all are so smart and the FOSI are so up to speed.
Why wouldn't
savvy and technically in other ways?
Why wouldn't everybody that wants it take it free and then they could charge their own advertisers for it, probably? But why wouldn't they just take it free?
I don't know. Okay, let's go back to the timing here. Auckland is GMT plus 13. The NBC sports broadcast should be live according to the time shown on the graphic. 3 p.m. in Auckland is 9 p.m. 3 p.m. in Auckland is 6 p.m. here. There are only 3 hours difference, which is 9 p.m. on the east coast. That's correct. Product Cup will start at 4 p.m. But I thought, were those timings? Okay, I double check your timings because obviously with the time zone changes, and I hope I didn't get that wrong. But when I first looked at it, 4 p.m. 4 p.m. is 7 p.m. here. It's nice on the West Coast, 10 p.m. on the East Coast, and so on and so forth. Daniel Grun, Tom, in 2017, Service TV broadcasted the AC in Germany and Austria. Okay, Servus, S-E-R-V-U-S. I sent you a link. NBCSN will be live in the U.S. for $175. Are you serious? Who is? I wish I knew who that was.
Yeah, Fog Machine, tell us who you are.
Grant Dalton promised the entire AC to be free to air, Daniel Green is saying. Clark Chapin, the Chicago once sang, does anybody really know
what time it is?
The Chicago band. Remember that?
Yes.
That was a great song. They were one of my favorite bands of all time.
Yes.
Okay, now I want to go back and look at that graphic to see what we have for the timings. It says NBC Sports 7 to 9 p.m. Now, see, that's wrong, guys and gals. That's for the Cup, because the Cup, when it starts at 4 p.m. in Auckland, 4 p.m. in Auckland is 7 o'clock here. This racing is on the 17th of December is starting at 3 p.m., which is 6 p.m., not 7 p.m. on this graphic. So the graphic is wrong. I was right. 7 to 9 is the approximate time for the Cup, or the presumably the the Product Cup, and the match, which will be 10 to midnight on the East Coast. It'll be an hour earlier when the racing starts at 3 o'clock, not at 4. Just to be sure we're straight on all that. Okay, Julia. Now, let's go back.
Good.
Then we're all clear. NBCSN should be blasted for $175. They are nuts. Total garbage, Daniel Gruner saying. Fog Machine, I can't post the link to the pricing, but search for NBC Sports America's Cup. Let's fall back one more hour. 850 TBM, okay. Let me play this video, which has just been released. It's a nice video. about, well, obviously by Britannia, by Ineos Team UK, by about one of their key sailors. I really like this video. Have a look.
I've been sailing with Ben for a lot of years, 13 odd. We were racing against one another and we were part of the British sailing team together. The Olympics is a pretty brutal world. Only one person goes and represents their nation per country. And we were vying for one spot for 2012. Ben was obviously successful in that and went on to do great things there. And yeah, I mean, we've always had a very, very good relationship, even when we were racing. And fortunately, he thought I was the right sort of person to join the team in 2014.
Sir Ben Ainsley, who is desperate to put this campaign on a proper footing.
I joined the Cup in Bermuda. For me personally, the Bermuda Cup was a bit more about proving where we could get to from where we'd started. It was a bit odd because we knew that we were a little bit behind the curve there. It was a bit of an odd time, but I think it brought the team really close together.
The 166-year wait to win the Cup. Yeah. It goes on.
That was the best we sailed today by a long way. Sorry about the button.
And I suppose it was an uphill battle. You know, I suppose going through a bit of adversity together helps.
Eliminated by the New Zealanders who've delivered the knockout punch to the British challenge.
But hopefully those foundations are done and behind us now, and we're in a position now where we can really focus in on trying to win this thing this time around. This is an amazingly new concept. I'm really enjoying sailing these boats, especially in the role that I have on board. On the books, I'm a tactician, but on this boat, I fulfill a range of roles, from grinding, a bit of steering, a bit of tactical help, a bit of performance help. So yeah, there's a lot for me to get my teeth into, which I really enjoy. The Cup's amazing with its history. It's the pinnacle of the sport. For us being a British team, it gives us a special aura. You know, we've not won it. It was first competed in 1851, and obviously went away to America and has never come back since. So to be part of a British challenge is special for a number of reasons. You know, firstly being British, but also trying to write the history books, I suppose. It's just another string to the bow that motivates us to try and win the Cup.
Yeah, nice video, and as Giles Scott, whose rivals became friends. Now Ben and Giles show us what you've got. There is no second. All the teams are putting out great videos, but I particularly like these British, these Ineos Team UK videos, and I think they've done a really nice job featuring the people. Now the sad news is, and sorry Daniel, you may want to turn your volume down for a second, but one hears that of the four teams, Ben's boat with Ben's bulge is, at least for now, and a lot of things will change. We got a lot, you know, I hope it's not true, but one hears they're the slowest boat. One hears that Prada is doing the best job with the maneuvers, that they look pretty flash, and that they say will give them a tactical advantage to be able to attack when they want to and jibe when they want to, and so on. Everybody's trying to get a handle on the Kiwis with their new boat because they've not been out for that long. The Americans have been on the water, so they look pretty settled, as you saw and you heard from Britt. But whether they also are the fastest boat at the end of the day, we don't know. Don't bet against the Kiwis, because the home team, right, Julia?
Always has an advantage.
the first time around at least, the Defender has never, ever, except 1987, has never lost the Cup. Now, thanks to Fog Machine, I have gone and found what is disturbing news. And I'm now assuming that because of this, on the NBC Sports Network, NBCSports.com, here's your America's Cup pass. Watch the pinnacle of sailing action as the Defender and challengers compete for the AC, plus get exclusive action from the ACWS Auckland and Prada Cup for $174.99, which, as you said, Fog Machine's $175.
Mm-hmm.
America's Cup World Series, Prada Cup, the America's Cup. Give the gift of gold. Looking for the perfect gift for the sports fan in your life? Get them a subscription to the NBC Sports Gold. Gift now. And there are the dates, and there are the check marks. One suspects, now having seen this, that at least here in the States and maybe in some other jurisdictions, other areas, you're not going to be able to watch it on YouTube unless you have a VPN. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We
And
shall see.
the NBC Sports Network isn't going to, if one already subscribes to the Sports Network.
Well, this is a different thing. This is the NBC. This is, I think, what is their gold channel, which is their Olympic channel. See that?
Yeah.
So, I think here on my cable network, which is different from your cable network, you've got whatever you've got, and I've got Comcast Xfinity. I've got NBCSN, and hopefully it's going to show up
Yeah, I'm
on
going to
that.
say, yeah.
But I don't think it will. I think this is a separate premier channel. I'll find out. Let's see if any of you who are quick can Google that. And Julie is on the what's your system? AT&T.
No, Comcast.
No, you're on DirecTV.
DirecTV.
DirecTV. Doesn't AT&T own that now?
Yeah. Yes.
I can't keep track of all that. See if somebody can figure out if this gold channel, probably Fog Machine, can figure that out. He was selling. What's going on here now? A whole lot of comments. Sting hits at the scale. Rivals became friends. Yeah, we said that he was selling. He's more talk about the most expensive means Giles Scott's. Ben's bluffing. I hope he is, Ted. This is what I was so afraid to hear. Sandbagging is almost as old as gas bagging.
Yes.
I knew that boat was slow, Daniel Green was saying. Ineos is running with the biggest draggiest. Yeah, foils. Draggiest. Foils. For now, they are good for early days. Let's see. I hope I hope we don't have a repeat of 58 or 92 where, one team is just way dominant or two teams are just way dominant. Fog Machine, unfortunately, the British crew not winning the Cup is even older. Should be free with Prime. 850 TBM. Again, we're not sure who that is. Thank you. So, Prime, are you talking
Prime
about
TV?
Amazon Prime TV.
Probably.
Should be free with Prime. Okay, well, we'll check it. Draggiest foils, good for lift outs and stability and for light airs. You can cheer me up any day. Fog Machine, it's on NBC Sports Gold is a digital online platform, not NBC. Yeah, okay, that's what I was afraid of. Not NBCSN or the Olympic Channel, but that doesn't mean they won't broadcast it on one of those two.
Okay.
If it's 175, there will be a collection plate
in the grill
room. So that sounds like a St. Francis or a former St. Francis member, Julie.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Well, thanks for helping all of us clear that up. Speaking of clearing things up, this did not clear anything up today. The article this morning, the 27th of November in the New Zealand Herald, and it's an interview with Grant Calder on the left and Tom Mayo. The company's known as Mayo and Calder, but Grant there on the left and Tom on the right. They have gone public. And here is, I've managed to get a hold of the article. It's behind a paywall, but thank you to a couple of you who helped me get this. For Mayo and Calder, the America's Cup was meant to be the pinnacle. After months of silence in the face of claims that they were spies, the America's Cup whistleblowers break their silence on why. After landing their dream contract to help deliver the 36th America's Cup in Auckland, the duo had become increasingly uncomfortable, claiming they were shut out of decisions and watched the budget repeatedly eroded for what they considered key elements. This is all the New Zealand Herald this morning, the 27th, 28th down there now, of course. They allege this made it difficult to raise their growing concerns that the budget would be inadequate for both on-water safety and for security around a Cup village on the Auckland waterfront. Because the company, Mayo & Calder, is being sued, accused, among other things, of breach of confidence, they refuse to go into the details of the concerns they say prompted them to raise warnings, beyond saying they did not believe they were being given the funds required to run a safe event, and their concerns were being, quote, actively ignored, unquote. Quote, Mayo & Calder did not at any stage raise issues of concern formally with the ACE or ETNZ boards or any of the individual directors. Had they done so, those issues would have been investigated. I think that's a quote from the chairman of the board, not from Grant Dalton. Mayo & Calder said their performance was never raised with them, any staff, or the Crown or Council at any stage. Now, this is a long article. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I pulled out another, got to keep a few paragraphs, which say the picture Mayo & Calder paint of Dalton is one where he does what he can to have absolute control. Quote, we're going to be spending less than this, so maybe there will be a few less dunnies. We better hope NZ doesn't have an earthquake and God can create a few more hours in the day so we can work longer, unquote. I think that's a Dalton quote. Later, they would find Dalton would walk into the office and announce that the website contract had been awarded to a Spanish company, or that the television contract for the Cup had been awarded to a German production company. We had, quote, no input, no say, unquote, Mayo said. No tender, Calder said. Bids, the contracts were not put out to tender. Mayo said anyone in the organization who did something without briefing Dalton risked being ridiculed. Calder, quote, he needed to know everything. I mean everything, right down to the smallest detail. From their perspective, attempts to raise concern with Simons, who was the chairman of the board of the ACE, America's Cup Events, went nowhere. Eventually, Mayo said the situation descended into, quote, screaming matches with Ms. Simons because she wasn't listening to their concerns. It seemed, according to Mayo, she'd given up confronting Grant Dalton as well. Now, that, again, it's a long article. You can go on the New Zealand Herald. In fact, it's on several of the smaller newspapers around the country, which is where I pulled this off because it is behind a paywall. And I think Stingray actually paid the $4.95 to get access to the New Zealand Herald. So thank you, Stingray, for that. That's not where I got this. Yeah. And you can also go on the Auckland Public Library. Auckland Public Library has all the newspapers from the country, and almost immediately they're published, like the same morning that they come out. And you can go on the Auckland Public Library and see PDFs, I think they are, of the papers. So,
that's interesting to know.
So we thank our Fozy for helping us with that. Ineos has a great show called Inside Tack with Georgie Ainsley. Yes, Daniel, that's a nice show with Ben's wife, who's a broadcast professional. They will run this show on their YT and FB channels before and after race days. Yes, I think that's probably true. They won't run it live at that time. But, it will encourage clubs like St. Francis to take up and get that channel, put it on, assuming we're open again. They're going to be closed. St. Francis is closing down for the whole month of January. One hears because of the COVID. They normally close the first 2 weeks of January, but this year I think they're going to close the whole month, give everybody some time off and clean the place. David James, NBC Sports Gold Terms of Service says, I may not resell, redistribute, or recirculate, or make any other commercial use of any portion of the service or content, whether or not for, yeah, well, that's true. That's standard language. David James is a lawyer, right, Julia?
He is. Good one.
Good one. Doesn't he do some legal work for you?
Yes, but he also has done some really difficult
I didn't mean
things.
So I can show it in the grill room. David James says, yeah, I don't think you can. David, I don't think you can use your account. The club get an account.
And watch by myself.
And watch by yourself. Okay. I have a Bravo Zulu. It is cup related. And It's the Team New Zealand for a video, and it's longish, but I think it is so compelling. I'm going to run the whole thing. We're only an hour and 40 minutes into the show, but have a look at this video on the build of their latest boat on B2, ETNZ's boat, the name of which is?
I can't remember the
Let's watch the video.
For us, this is it. This is our sort of mini America's Cup within the campaign, because if we don't deliver this boat on time, then we've failed. So, you know, there's a bit of pressure on us, but we're used to that, and we know how important it is for the team to receive the boat on time. So we'll be guns blazing from today onwards. Yeah, we take it pretty seriously.
To be part of something like this is pretty special, so everyone's just chomping at the bit to get going, really. Today we get to see the boat as a whole, actually finally see what the shape is finally like.
This is the first Team New Zealand boat that's actually been built and designed entirely within Team New Zealand. So it's a pretty proud moment for the team. We've worked hard to produce a design which we think is going to be really the best of both worlds. Be really strong in accelerating in light conditions and getting up out of the water, but then also have really good aerodynamic performance in a straight line across the wind speed range.
Probably the biggest difference is just the attention to detail from stem to stern, over the full length. Every single part has been designed and engineered to the nth degree. For every square metre in the boat, there's so much more labour that goes into each single part than any other boat we've built before.
A couple of big weeks going on behind us here. We've got a bit of a deck going on now, so that's the next big push for these next week or two is obviously the job that everyone doesn't really like is the sandy part of it, but they're accustomed to it now. So the boys have all jumped over with a bit of manpower onto the deck and looking into that with a run to this week achieve glassing it by the end of the week.
We really just had to scramble to make sure the facility was ready to close. Kind of knew before shutdown how long it would take and how many people we would need to catch up the lost time. So we're pretty comfortable that we would always be able to recover as long as we could get the right guys.
Progress is real good. Like, the boys have been smashing out some big hours, trying to get through this as quick as we can. Yeah, we lost the 5 weeks, so we've gained up a bit. We're still just working hard and doing everything we can, and we're getting there.
Our job is to produce the best weapon for the guys that we possibly can, and it is just that constant pressure to get the thing finished on time, to the right quality and without making mistakes, because mistakes soak up more time.
The guys have had some long weeks, long days, so to see this stuff where we're actually daily, there's things that are achieved. It's a really good boost for them all actually when they see what they've done for the day. So yeah, they're happy.
I think that's what probably excites me the most, There is no rule book, it's like you're making it up on the fly, and everyone's done so well on that as well, all the boys. Even the young guys that we got extra help in, they've learnt so much.
It's an absolutely incredible feeling to come and see the boat, just popped out of the mould. You almost feel like almost like a NASA astronaut going and watching the space shuttle, get pulled out of its mould. It's sort of that same feeling as part of the sailing team. It's the boat you'll actually go out and defend the America's Cup on. So really special time.
Structural testing is a big one. It's pretty inconvenient at the time, but at the end of it, if it's all gone well, then it's a huge relief for everyone, builders and engineers. So to get through that was really quite pleasing for everyone. And then we knew we just had about 2 more weeks after that, finish the painting of the boat and all the final detailing, and then send it to town for its fit out.
Yeah, great day for the guys. Set out to build this starting back in February, and we're here now, and going to deliver it 2 weeks early, so it's a huge achievement for the build team and the design guys too.
seeing that boat leave is pretty good. It's a pretty awesome feeling, get the bloody thing out again. But also then you come back to work the next day and you're just a bit lost. Fingers crossed that we've done everything we can, and it'd be awesome to see it out there sailing and hopefully kicking some ass. Pretty proud moment, I guess.
To get to the end is just so satisfying for the guys, and it feels like it's mission accomplished. Leave it to the sailors now, but if Bermuda's anything to go by, there'll be experiences where we'd need to dig in and work through the night and repair some damage or make a modification. But you just don't know. We can really never relax until the last race.
Yeah, Bravo Zulu. I agree with
really nice.
with Stingray, with Dogzilla Monster. I wonder what the price was. No, he's saying one of the best. Where did I see that? One of the best boat build videos ever. I just think it was terrific. Bravo Zulu. Not only for the video, just for pulling it off. Now, you always build some downtime, some time but 5 weeks for COVID, because they had to stop, and whether or not they were actually kept working behind the scenes quietly or that's just PR, I take them at their word and say that they really had to shut down, and then still managed to deliver it even a week or two earlier than what they thought, I'm sure it was their adjusted time. But man, oh man, that was pretty impressive.
Indeed. I also like Dogzilla's phonetic pronunciation of that boat, which is Terahutai.
Terahutai. And I think a lot of people are just calling it Tay-Ray. Sea spray. Terahutai. Terahutai. Terahutai is how I was told. And I've consulted Kiwis on this Terahutai. I also listened to the lady who christened it, who was, remind me who she was. Can't remember. It was chairman of the board of who's a Kiwi, who's Sir Tyndall, Mr. Tyndall. Sir, what's his first name? And his wife, Lady Tyndall, christened the boat, commissioned the boat. Where I'm trying to find Gilles, there it is, Gilles Martin Raget's YouTube channel, because of this comment here from Gilles. Pulled up an interesting video today of split screen between Prada and ETNZ in sync with the speed and tacking. Interesting to watch. Okay. Oh, Julia's there. Jay Weddick is there. So I'm going to pull. Stanford just tied it up at 10:10. Julia, one of the hot shots in the video showed 2 women, twice as many as in the big team photo. Clark Davis saying, best boat builders in the world, right there. Beach Haven Painting, Electrical, and Spa. Yeah, I mean, bravo Zulu, full marks to them. And I having worked with 2 of the other with Kiwi Mark Turner and the gang that he brought into our Oracle Team USA boat building over those many years, and now that they're still doing the boats for SailGP. I mean, it's just terrific stuff. Okay, here's this split video. I'm going to see if I can run this. It's only a minute long. See if there's any audio on this. This is the video that you were telling us about a moment ago. See, we're getting good at this, Julia.
Yes,
pulling up stuff right away. Gilles Martin Raget, as we said, we gave him the Bravo Zulu the other day, not just for winning the award, but for having him in Auckland to do this sort of stuff.
Oh, yes.
Down goes the windward foil. Bow up on ETNZ, a little touchdown on Prada. Prada's maneuvers look pretty good. So do TNZ's. We'll have to talk to Gilles about his choice. It's almost the theory. What else is on his channel while we're there? Hang on here. 24th. That's when I think we played that one a couple of days ago. While we're there, we might as well have a look. Here's from a day ago. Let's look at this. This is American American magic. Here comes attack. A lot of breeze. Now, this team seems to be pretty good in the upper range by all accounts. Bow down, trying to heel the windward. Touchdown, which is good in football, but not in America's Cup sailing.
Yes.
AC 75 sailing. Yeah, Mark Hussed saying they look fast over distance, but the start box. I don't think there's going to be a lot of maneuvering in the start box, Mark. Tell me if I'm wrong. Dogzilla Stingray saying something. I'm going to use his real name. GMR is brilliant. Yes, the guy is brilliant.
Yes.
Okay, I think I'll let this go. And you can go to his YouTube channel, Gilles, Gille, of course, Gilles Martin Raget. And again, Bravo Zulu 2, ETNZ, for that build video and for the job they've done pulling that boat through. And all the teams have done. I mean, just imagine how difficult our life has been. Your lives, all of your lives have been. I mean, this is a tough time. People are depressed. They go up and down. They have lockdown. We're locked down again, sort of. And we have curfew from 10 at night till 5 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I need a haircut again because the salons are closed. My guy's closed. I'm not going to open to do two people on a chair outdoors. I guess he can do outdoors.
You know what? I
have you checked with your
I
lady?
haven't. In fact, I will, because boy, do I need one.
Yeah, but see, nobody can tell you got a headset on, so you look,
No,
you look,
I have excuses.
You look fine. Won't be a lot of start box action. World on water. Yes, I agree. That's, of course, Jeff Waller down in Australia. I agree. I think apropos what we talked about with Britt the other day, that's going to be Amy Vanderbilt, sail away from the starting line, turn and make a dash to the starting line, even though it's upwind starting this time. Do they have boundaries this time? So is it one tack to the boundary or to the ley line? Might be, David. Yeah, there are boundaries. I think you'll see that there's going to be some boundary line sailing. They'll maneuver, of course, gloves off for all teams. I don't know, Mark. We'll see. That's a good question. We shall see. Okay, that wraps up our AC 36 Cup date, our extensive AC 36 Cup date for today. And I noticed when I did the timestamps for the show the other day that we're talking about the Cup for an hour, which, as we should. I mean, that's what's happening.
Yeah, that's where we are right now.
Those of us with less hair, Clark Chapin says, think that the entire concept of haircuts is over. Right. Okay, Clark. We told you that the tries were about to start. The big try runs, or at least one was about to start. And in Tip and Shaft today, I read, by the way, if you don't have a subscription to Tip and Shaft, it's free. It's a newsletter that comes out of Lorient, France every Friday, most every Friday. And it covers particularly the offshore world and these big round-the-world races, but the industry and the sport pretty seriously. It's free. Just Google Tip and Shaft and subscribe to it. This is the photo of the week by Martin Curazore. Sotoboat, the Ultime 33 at high speed. Let me back that up so you can see the picture. because we told you a couple shows ago that they were about to take off, and then they didn't. They went in from what they thought was a favorable weather picture to one that turned out not to be so good. And there's two of them that are now, they left within 30 minutes, I think, of each other, and they're now in a match race to try to claim the Jules Verne trophy, the trophy Jules Verne, for the fastest record around the world. And they took off at high speed to the south of the Canary. They are now currently the south of the Canaries, setting off 31 minutes apart. The trimaran skippered by Thomas Koval and the Maxi Edmund de Rothschild set off Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, to challenge. I guess it was Monday night, Tuesday morning, to challenge for the trophy Jules Verne. The first time for two teams. The record to beat 40 days, 23 hours, and 30 minutes and 30 seconds is achieved in January 2017 by IDEX Sport. That's Francis Joyon. After 2.5 days, the two Maxi trimarans are neck and neck with a lead of over 200 miles.
Wow.
On the old record, IDEX Sport. They're expected at the equator in less than 5 days, and in due course, they will pass, of course, through the Vendee Globe fleet.
Oh, they will.
And they're going the same direction.
Yeah.
And they will, as you would.
Yeah.
And they're going to try to beat that record of 40 days, 23 hours and change. So we wish them luck, and we'll be following that. You know who this is? This is a famous guy. This is a cool interview. Knut Frostad from Norway was interviewed by Mikkel Thommessen on SeilMagasinet.no, and I commend it to you for sure. Go have a look, because he talks about world sailing. He talks about world sailing's relative, other than the Olympics, relative inability to have any impact or leadership in the sport. And he likes the offshore Olympic event, although there's some other people that are bringing up points about why it's crazy and why it's going to be so difficult. But it's a great interview. I commend it to you. And if you don't know Knut, he's a Norwegian yachtsman who participated in a broad range of world championship level sailing events, including the VOR, the Olympic Games, and ladder and windsurfing, believe it or not. He's currently CEO of Navico, one of the largest manufacturers of marine electronics. He supplies something like 40% of the consumer market, people who make boats for the consumer market. Formerly, he was CEO of the Volvo Ocean Race. In total, he has twice participated in the Olympic Games, 88, 92, and 4 times in the VOR, twice as skipper.
He's somebody we ought to know.
Yeah, we're going to get him on the show. I know him not real well. I know him. I've had plenty of conversations with him over the years. We need to get him on the show. He has very strong views, and I commend this interview of Mikkel Thommessen's on SeilMagasinet.no, and it's just up today, and of course it's in English. It's a video interview. Really cool stuff. So that's about it for us, other than our 2020 segment. By the way, Julia.
Yes?
Speaking of Calder and Mayo, I heard overnight from Grant Calder. I had never talked to either of them before, but they had been watching the show. They appreciated our observations and our comments. And I pinged them back and said, thank you very much for your comments, and invited them onto the show. I hope that one or the other or both will come on the show sometime soon and talk about what they're talking about in today's Friday's New Zealand Herald.
Oh, interesting.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yes.
To have them on the show. I think that would be good as well. Julie, anything else before we go into our last segment?
I don't think so.
SI trivia. Julia's spectacular blouse, is it the one she sported in show number 21? 21?
Who knows?
Is it?
I have no idea.
She has so many clothes. Dogzilla. David James, if you're going to Google tip and shaft, you might want to do that in an incognito browser, or you'll get an odd search results for quite a while. I make fun of that. I cannot, the number of times I've made fun of that name, why you would name, okay, it has to do with foils and the tip and the shaft and so on. But with a dirty, sophomoric, juvenile mind that I have, Julia she shakes her finger at me every time I make a joke about tip and shaft, so we shall not do that. It would be busy on the ice line in the Southern Ocean around New Year. Yeah, good point, Jeff Waller. Training, that would be great. Training to win. That's John Emmett, where it's late. It's midnight in Central Europe. It's 11 p.m., 2300 in the UK, and this is our final segment. for our whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Julie, you're not going to be happy with me with a couple of these, but they were submitted by Fozy, and I felt an obligation to run them. And the first one's clean. Our family is so excited for a virtual Thanksgiving via Zoom, said no one ever. The punchline, the clever thing, whoever made this little meme up, the flag for misinformation. Fact checkers say that Cyber Thanksgiving is very fun. Visit cdc.gov for tips. We managed not to do a Zoom. I thought about it and I said, no way. We had our dinner Wednesday night, and then we had some leftovers with friends yesterday, socially distanced, just 4 of us here at the Beach Street Yacht Club, and that worked out really well. I've not done a virtual Zoom. You can. I'd rather just call my mom and dad and siblings and other friends. Now this one, somebody dressed their turkey, so to speak.
Yeah.
And resulted, although it doesn't quite look like the same, but resulted in that for 2020. You don't think that's funny?
Oh, it's old.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm
it's
old.
good.
I'm
It's
old.
good.
I've never seen anything. I thought
It's
that was
good.
clever. It could have been worse. As far as Thanksgiving and sailing, let's just acknowledge without sailing, we wouldn't even have Thanksgiving, thanks to the Mayflower and the Pilgrims coming over to Plymouth in what became Plymouth in Massachusetts, just north of Cape Cod. Well, that's a nice meme, don't you think?
Yes.
Now, here's another sailing meme that, Julia, don't look at this. You will not be amused. With this, I'm going to control your life, she says. Unless that thing grows a set of, and I wasn't quite sure when I first saw the set of sails, good luck with that. That's not too bad, is it?
No, it's
For
still
us,
sophomore. I'm sorry.
It is a little juvenile. But, that's what I am. Now, this is really bad. This was sent by one of our top Fozy, who's been a contributor, a reliable contributor to the show, so I had to run. People who confuse the words burro, and burrow don't know their you-know-what from a hole in the ground.
That's clever use of words.
I know, but after 2 hours, you got to have something. Now, this is clean. Did you send this to me? I think Ted Ryman sent this to me. A man goes to the optician for his annual eye test. The optician puts a contraption on his face and asks him, what can he see? Quote, I see empty airports and empty football grounds, he says. I see closed theaters, closed pubs, closed restaurants. That's perfect, says the optician. You've got 20/20 vision.
That's good.
You approve of that?
Yeah. It's sad, but true.
I'm glad you approve. So that's it for our 2020 segment. Now, for the sad news we mentioned at the top of the show, we learned this morning that Kevin Burnham, who's leaping. Oh, this is in fact, I don't know if I put his name. I got to put Daniel Forster in the credits for the show. So a great Daniel Forster shot from the 2004 Athens Olympics, obviously, when they won the gold medal. And he passed away this morning. He's a young guy. I mean, he's only 60-ish. I can't remember his age. But Kevin Burnham's a 3-time Olympic sailor and a 2-time Olympic medalist for Team USA. This is a U.S. sailing press release just before we went to air. He won the gold medal with Paul Forster in 2004 and a silver medal with Morgan Reeser in 1992. So he'd done it twice. And Burnham, and with a fair bit of time between them, Burnham and Forster were named Rolex Yachtsman of the Year for their gold medal performance. Burnham also won a gold medal at the 86, Goodwill Games. The late, great Goodwill Games. Burnham was a versatile sailor who competed in various boats in different racing formats over his exciting career in ocean racing events. He competed in the Sydney Hobart, the Rolex Transatlantic, Newport Bermuda, and he even won the 89 Worrell 1000, which is a catamaran race up the southeast coast of the U.S. Burnham was an 11-time national champion. He was also one of the nicest guys in the sport. Longtime friend. He had time for everybody you ever wanted to talk to, or you wanted to talk to him. He, in his latter years, has been coaching, and he's been a terrific coach, and not only in his beloved 470 class, but beyond. And I say he's young. He's 3 years younger than I, so it gives one pause. But Kevin Burnham, who passed away this morning from pulmonary problems, and it was a big surprise to me, and I know to Blake Middleton and others who knew him. Kevin Burnham, 1956 to 2020. He will be missed, and may he rest in peace. Now, some more sad news, because I didn't know the gentleman, but a lot of you on here did, including all of our OK Dinghy friends. Glenn Yates, a.k.a. Yatesy, Yoda in Bilbo, was lost at sea over, not this past weekend, the weekend before, on a delivery trip from Tasmania on board his new yacht. After 72 hours, the air and sea research for him was called off. Glenn was an avid OK Dinghy sailor and was one of the most friendly and kind-hearted sailors in the fleet. Glenn was well-traveled in the OK Dinghy class, making friends worldwide. His many overseas adventures included Poland 07, Germany 08, Sweden 09, Largs, which is, I guess, up in Scotland, I'm pretty sure, in 11, Barbados in 17, Warnemünde in Deutschland again in 18, as well as the Worlds in Australia. He was well-traveled and much loved. The OK Dinghy International Association and the OK Sailors Worldwide send deepest condolences to his family and friends. His presence and humor will be deeply felt and missed by many in the fleet. As I said, I didn't have the pleasure of knowing the gentleman, but all of you who did, Karen Robertson and the whole OK Dinghy crowd, just tell me he was a wonderful guy, as did I just learned this from Pedro's foiling sailor Peter Stevenson a few days ago. Glenn Yates, the Aussie, 1958 to 2020. May he, too, rest in peace. Julia, we only live once. Linus is saying to Snoopy, wrong. We only die once. We live
every day.
Every day, right?
Right.
Even at our advanced ages. And to all of our FOSI, we love all of you. We thank all of you for your support, continuing support on this Thanksgiving weekend, at least here in the States. We appreciate your tuning in for today's show number 353. And Julia likes to say,
please like, share, and subscribe.
And comments too, although the replay comments, you actually can comment in replay. There's space to comment, so please do comment if you're watching it in replay. I'm sorry about the live replay comments not yet being available. I suspect they won't be for this one either. We're working on it. But if you will hit the sub button, the subscribe button, and get us to 1,000, and we're doing some work to get us quicker there. Get us there more quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Also, please support us. This is viewer-supported media. All of you make this possible on patreon.com/join/sailing illustrated, and give us a few bucks a month, as many of you do. We sincerely, surely do appreciate it. We thank all of you. I should have added, I can't remember if I had his name in here or not, but Gilles Martin Raget for those videos, which we didn't know we were going to play. And also the Swiss clockmaker, as he's called, Daniel Forster, Julie. You know Daniel Forster. He did a show over at St. Francis with us when we were live streaming those shows. I saw it show up finally. Mm-hmm. Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you. Hope you have a nice weekend. The rest of your Thanksgiving weekend, if you're here in the States, and otherwise see you on Tuesday. In the meantime, stay safe. Go sailing if it's permitted. And
yes.
if it's not, think about going sailing. Ciao.
Yeah.
Bye.